Hi, today we're going to do a couple of different things that we can use with CorelDraw and Corel Photo Paint. What I like about CorelDraw is that you can do a lot of raster editing right in Draw. And as you can see, I'm in Draw now, not Photo Paint, and I have these two photographs. By the way, a couple people have mentioned it's hard to see the toolbars on these videos. And that's because YouTube has a default of a low resolution. If you switch your resolution in YouTube to a high res, these should be clear enough that you can see what I'm doing. So I have two photographs here, this dinosaur and this beautiful garden. And let's say my project is to put the dinosaur in the garden in a realistic manner, at least as realistic as we can. I've selected this as this was a ping that I got from a PNG. I pronounce it ping. I got it from a clip art website, and the reason I picked this was somebody was nice enough to remove the background for me, so I don't have to do it myself. It'll save me a lot of time. And let's say we want that dinosaur right here in the garden, but that looks fake because obviously he's got his foot up and we want him to look like he's behind the post, not in front of it. So there are a bunch of ways we can do it. One thing we can do is take this to Photo Paint. I'm not going to show you this because it's pretty obvious. If we take each individual photo into Photo Paint and use our eraser tool to erase part of the dinosaur where he goes behind the pole, we could do a pretty good job doing it that way. But I'm not going to do it that way because I don't want to make a really long video. So what I'm going to do is something you may not have seen before, and I'm not sure, I don't think I invented these techniques, but I do think that it's unique to CorelDraw because you can use a combination of vector and raster graphics to achieve a lot of different effects. So that's what I sort of wanted to make the video about today. So I'm not going to use Photo Paint at all. I'm going to do this entirely in CorelDraw. We'll talk about Photo Paint another time, but like I said, I like vector drawing better than freehand. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to zoom in here, and this pole is what I'm going to work on. And I'm just going to start with my Bezier tool or my pen tool because I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of shaping here. It's fairly straight, but also sort of organic. You can see that this used to be a perfectly square block of concrete, and over the years it's eroded a little bit. So we don't want to make this really square looking because that'll look fake. So the way I like to do this type of thing, if it's a geometric shape, obviously I'd want to be a little more careful, but all I'm going to do, I'm using an orange line so you can see it. I like to draw this type of thing using a whole bunch of little segments, and what that does is keeps a fairly realistic organic look to it, so it doesn't look like one straight line. So it takes a little bit more time to do it this way, but you're going to like the effect better. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. There we go. I'm trying to keep this as short as I can, so I paused it there. When I get down to this little block of wood, then I do want to use a straight line. And I'm only going to go down to about here, because all I need is enough to block out part of the dinosaur. So I'll get back up here and finish up my vector object. Looks like I didn't quite finish the curve here, so I'm going to close that up. And I'm going to give it no outline, and I'll make it magenta. That'll be cool. It doesn't matter what color because I'm going to get rid of this eventually. Now, to see what I'm doing, I'll give it a little bit of a transparency. which is easy in Draw. Uniform. And you can see you have this slider here to adjust the amount of transparency. I'll keep it at about there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Make sure I have everything reasonably shaped out. I'm not working real hard on this. But remember, I used a whole series of small segments, so I can adjust little parts of this however I want to get it to look pretty realistic. I'm not going to work real hard on this because it's more to show people how I do it rather than to produce a beautiful result. A lot of people in tutorials, they act like you have to produce all these mind-blowing things, which is cool, but a lot of times you just want to solve a simple problem. But in this case, all we really want to do is put the dinosaur behind the pole in a manner that is reasonably realistic. Let's say this is for a website or something. People are going to look at it for 10 seconds. They're not going to pick it apart and say, like, whoa, this part looks fake or anything like that. If it's for a magazine ad that you're getting paid hundreds of dollars to do, you'll want to work on it harder. But for this, we're just going to go ahead and do it quick and dirty. I've got all these nodes selected. I'm going to change these to curves and make them smooth. That'll just give it a little bit less of a straight geometric look. And I'm going to say that's good enough. We'll see what happens. I'll take the transparency off of it. Okay. Now, that's a vector object. You just saw me draw it. And I'm going to bring my dinosaur in here. I'm going to show you two ways I can do this. And let's say I want the dinosaur right about there. I'm going to cut this for a minute. Yeah, it's about where I want him. I might crop him in a little bit just to make sure none of his feet are sticking out the other side of my... There we go. All right, paste that object back on there. And now I'm going to just do a simple trim. I've already got my shaping menu open. That's under here. Arrange, shaping, and then that opens up the shape menu. So I use my trim command. I've got my vector object selected. And I'll trim that dinosaur. And there he is. More or less realistically behind the pole. And so for now I've accomplished what I wanted to do. If I wanted to, I could take this in a photo paint and clean up this line and everything I want, but just to show you on the video, that's how I'm going to leave it. Now one drawback is you can see he's trimmed away, so I can't really put him anywhere else. What if I wanted to move him? It's too late. So I'm going to go back to where I was. Got my vector object, and everything's pretty much the way I want it. I've already, as you remember, I cropped him in a little bit. Try something new, and I'm not sure if I'm the only person that does it this way, but I really like to do it this way because it's so easy to see what you're working with and so easy to edit it. I'm going to make a big yellow square. It could be any color because we're not going to keep it for long. And I'll put it behind my original vector object. Now I'll copy this and save it. Just in case, or copy and paste it, I'm sorry. Just in case I need to use it later, but I don't think I will. I'll select both of these, my two vector objects, and I'll hit Control L, which is combine. That's a shortcut. Or I can go up here to my menu, and there's combine up there. So we'll combine those into one object. Now I can see the pole behind it, and maybe I want to do a little work on it. Bring that out a little bit. I can also go back to transparency. Like I said, I'm doing this real quick so it doesn't make a long video. But I will move this top part down a little bit. Just like that. And now I have a window cut out for the part I want to work on. But don't forget, I want the original photo back here. So we'll hit copy. See, I just copied that garden. And then I'll put this back into place by hitting my undo button. And I'm going to use my trim again and trim this. Okay, at this point I don't need that yellow thing. Now I got my pole and my dinosaur. And I'll paste. Remember, I have the original on my clipboard. So now I'm going to send this to the back by clicking Shift Page Down or Arrange Send to Back. And it looks kind of like what I had in the first place, but remember, we have that extra little thing, and I call this a cheat patch. I just made that word up. I don't know if that's the industry standard word for it, but it's a cheat patch. And since I pasted it directly on top of that one, you can't see it at all. And the reason for that is it's the same photo, the same number of pixels, and it's matched perfectly pixel for pixel with the background. So you can't see it's there, but it is. Anyway, at this point I can move my dinosaur into position and he disappears behind there. And what I like about this is now I can move him around wherever I want. If I like him better here, maybe I want him a little taller. You want to keep his foot out here where it belongs. But that looks reasonably realistic for what we were doing. At this point, you can combine these two into a single bitmap, or three. I'm sorry, there are 3 bitmaps here: dinosaur, background, and cheat patch. And if this doesn't look realistic enough for you, you can always combine them into one bitmap and take that into Photo Paint and work on it all you want. But for now I'm going to leave it because, like I said, I don't want to make a really long video. There's my dinosaur in the garden behind the pole, and I've accomplished my objective. Practice these techniques and you'll find that, I think you'll find that you enjoyed creating objects with a vector as opposed to freehand. Makes it a lot easier and a lot faster to get things done. So, if you like the video, I'd appreciate if you click the like button and subscribe to me. I'm going to try and make more of these. Now I have a new microphone, so I like the sound of it a lot better than my other stuff in the past. And that's that. I hope your next project goes well.